Welcome, everyone. Today we're exploring market movements and digital assets, and we're really zooming in on one particular cryptocurrency. We've been looking at some recent analysis that highlights its, well, pretty remarkable resilience and potential. Our aim here is to unpack the key predictions, the drivers behind them, so you can get a quick grasp of what's really significant.
Absolutely. And what's striking, I think, is how the data seems to show this convergence of factors. It really hints at some potentially significant shifts ahead. We'll definitely look at the technicals, the charts, but also the wider market forces, and importantly, the institutional interest that's kind of shaping the story around this asset.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. The crypto market is always volatile, lots of ups and downs. But one digital asset, XRP, it's really standing out lately. The analysis we've seen consistently highlights its, well, exceptional strength.
Yeah, it's quite notable. If you connect it to the bigger picture, XRP has shown one of the clearest, strongest uptrends since it broke above 50 cents. That was a key level, and holding above it shows real momentum.
50 cents, right?
And what's really interesting is that among the major cryptocurrencies, the analysis suggests only Bitcoin actually shows a more established, more solid market structure.
Wow, okay. Comparing its structure to Bitcoin's, that's a strong statement.
It really is. It kind of puts XRP in rare company when you talk about market reliability and maturity.
And this isn't just a quick spike, is it? The analysis mentioned something about the monthly charts.
Exactly. It's not just a fleeting moment. We're seeing this quiet strength on the monthly charts. This points to something more foundational, not just daily noise. It suggests, a longer-term solidity building up.
Right, like a deeper conviction in the market.
Precisely. It implies something substantial is building underneath, rather than just, say, a short-term pump.
Okay, and thinking historically, there was that key resistance zone, wasn't there? Around $1.90 to $2.
Yes, that level was a major hurdle for a long time, a real ceiling. But the significant thing, the real game changer, according to this analysis, is that in 2024, XRP broke decisively above $2. And since then, it hasn't just fallen back. The price has stabilized. It's holding steady above that mark. So what was resistance is now acting as support, like a floor.
And this is where it gets really interesting, right? Because it hasn't just held it briefly. Our sources note it's been above $1.90 for, what, more than 8 consecutive months?
8 months, yeah. Think about that, consolidating above a historically tough barrier for that long. And during this time, volatility has been relatively low, the price is holding steady. That often suggests pressure is building. In markets, moves like this often precede major breakout.
Right, that consolidation phase, it's like things are tightening up.
Exactly. One analyst used the phrase coiling like a spring, quietly building energy.
A coiling spring. I like that analogy. It captures that feeling of potential energy. So what is behind this quiet energy then? Why is low volatility seen as a positive sign here, not just stagnation?
Well, it suggests that the sellers might be drying up. Supply is dwindling at these levels, and buyers might be quietly accumulating, building positions without causing huge price spikes. It often signals preparation for a larger move, rather than just a lack of interest.
Okay, so if it's coiling, what's the potential release? What does this mean for its future path? Experts are throwing out some pretty big numbers, which always grabs attention.
They are. And it's important to look at the reasoning. According to Elliott Wave theory, for example, which, for listeners, is a way of looking at market cycles based on patterns and investor psychology.
Right.
This theory suggests XRP is positioned to enter a strong upward trend. The framework implies a rise through 5 distinct waves, potentially pushing it beyond $30 by mid-2026.
$30. Okay, that's definitely ambitious. Is that purely technical, or are there other factors?
Well, it's one perspective, but there's more. Another analyst predicts a range, maybe $32 to $50. And they cite several more fundamental reasons, giving a broader picture.
Okay, let's break those down. What are the core drivers people are pointing to?
Well, first, there's the potential of RippleNet in cross-border payments. The analysis suggests it could capture a significant slice, say 20% to 30% of the global market, which is massive. We're talking about $1 trillion market.
$1 trillion. Wow. And if RippleNet gets even 20%?
The implications for XRP, which acts as that bridge currency on the network, would be huge. It means real-world utility, constant demand, driven by settling payments faster and cheaper.
That makes sense. And then there's the talk about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. How does XRP fit in there?
Right, that's another layer. There's growing speculation, and it is speculation at this stage, that maybe 50 or more countries could adopt XRP for CBDC bridges.
Bridges, meaning?
Meaning using XRP to facilitate fast, low-cost transfers of these national digital currencies between countries. avoiding the old, slow banking rails. This would imply central banks themselves holding and using XRP.
Okay, so institutional use on a national scale. That's potentially huge.
Very significant, yes. It could dramatically increase utility and potentially lock up supply.
What about the broader market? There's always talk of the next big crypto bull run, maybe 2026, 2027.
Yeah, a rising tide lifts all boats, as they say. A general crypto bull run would obviously provide a strong tailwind. Assets like XRP, with established tech and growing utility, are often well-positioned to benefit from that wider market excitement and new capital flowing in.
And you mentioned RLUSD earlier, Ripple's stablecoin. How does that connect?
Yes, RLUSD. The sources pointed to Ripple's 2024 agreement with Saudi Arabia's central bank. The idea is this could pave the way for XRP, possibly alongside RLUSD, to be used in oil settlements.
Oil settlements. That's enormous.
It's potentially vast, yes. Connecting XRP to the global energy market would be a major development, creating immense demand if it materializes.
And finally, the one everyone talks about, an XRP spot ETF. What's the potential impact there?
Huge. A spot ETF, meaning it holds actual XRP, could bring in massive institutional investment. Estimates range from $20 billion to maybe even $50 billion.
$50 billion, just from an ETF.
Potentially. Because it gives large traditional finance players an easy, regulated way to get exposure without actually holding the crypto themselves. It basically de-risks it for them and opens the door to significant capital flows.
Interesting. We also saw a note that even a well-known Bitcoin proponent has shifted their view, now predicting XRP could hit, what, $24 this year?
Yes, that was noted. They apparently cited perceived support within the U.S. government, people pushing for XRP.
Regardless of the politics, that kind of shift from a former skeptic is noteworthy.
It is. It signals a potential change in perception, maybe reflects some behind-the-scenes movement, or at least a belief that such movement exists. It adds another layer to the overall narrative.
Okay, so bring it back to right now. XRP is trading around $2.23, you said. In a tight range, moving averages converging. Sounds like the market's waiting for something.
Exactly. It's that classic consolidation pattern. Key technical indicators are tightening up. It often precedes a significant move, either up or down, but the analysis we've seen leans bullish.
And despite that potential volatility, the underlying factors seem positive.
That's the key takeaway from the analysis, yes. The strong, bullish setup on the charts, combined with that growing institutional interest, things like Ripple's pursuit of a U.S. bank license, the ongoing ETF discussions, these fundamental factors are underpinning the technical picture and keeping that long-term optimism strong. It's a convergence.
So we've covered a lot, the technical setup, the potential drivers like RippleNet, CBDCs, maybe even oil, and the big ETF possibility. When you pull it all together, what really stands out to you about XRP's position right now? It definitely feels like there's a strong current beneath the surface.
There certainly seems to be, and it raises a bigger question, doesn't it? Considering all these potential real-world uses beyond just trading, how might the role of assets like XRP actually evolve within global finance? Are we moving past pure speculation towards genuine integrated utility? That's definitely something to think about as this whole space continues to mature.